Good evening. The 14th and current Dalai Lama has said, if a teacher not only imparts academic education, but also assumes responsibility for preparing students for life, his or her pupils will feel trust and respect, and what has been taught will leave an indelible impression on their minds. On the other hand, subjects taught by a teacher who does not show true concern for his or her students' overall well-being will be regarded as temporary and not retained for long. The past 13 years of our lives have been consumed by schooling and our teachers. For many days of our childhood, we spent more time with our teachers than we did with our parents or guardians. As the Dalai Lama expressed clearly, our teachers can have an immense capacity to impact us in critical ways. And many of them have. I am sure many of you, not only just my fellow classmates, but the teachers, the administration, and our families, have teachers all the way back to kindergarten that we can remember, that stick in our minds with the kindness we have received and the learning we have been offered. In conjunction with reflecting on our time in high school, please also consider how we will spend the rest of our lives being taught by those around us. Teaching is not an easy task. Attempting to tutor for National Honor Society or trying to help my younger brother proved to be extremely difficult and endlessly frustrating. It is one thing to give someone the right answer, but can you give them understanding? If an answer and then understanding are the simpler levels of what teaching means, how can someone go even further to inspire desire for content, curiosity for a subject, and a lifelong admiration of the learning that is before you? Honestly, I do not know how someone could do this, let alone spend years doing this over and over again for student after student. Yet the teachers at Mercyhurst did this for me and for many others. So what exactly have they done for us, for me? Every day, it was each hour and a half that made the difference. Despite anything else going on, my teachers made sure to give lessons that were meaningful, whether those lessons were focused on academics or on empirical learning. Mrs. Wyman. The pure love that she has for science is something unforgettable. I mean, anyone that has had Mrs. Wyman knows how much she cares about rocks, ecology, evolution, natural selection, and especially her students. I had the pleasure of having 1/8 of my high school career with her. There was one day when she sat me down and told me that I needed to stop cheating myself out of true understanding and love for material. I was, and so often still am, so focused on what the correct answer is, not focusing on what it means to get that answer. Due to her advice when I work on something, I still care about my finished product and the final grade, but I also can picture Mrs. Wyman looking at me over her glasses, making me wonder if I actually have learned this material. This same care for learning came in places where I did not expect it, one of those being English. I hated writing before high school, and thanks to Mrs. Swanson and Mrs. Wojciechowski, it would probably be my most improved skill. And also, my favorite class turned out to be art history, where sometimes I thought I was learning more about some subjects in that class than I was in the actual ones. One particular teacher that stands out, not only as an educator, but as a counselor of many other things, is Mr. Kinsella. I know to many of my classmates he was not a teacher, but to discuss the impact of teachers at Mercyhurst without mentioning Mr. Kinsella would be remiss. I've learned a great deal about many subjects in theory of knowledge, and I'm sure my fellow IB diploma candidates would agree. I thought the class would be mainly philosophical, but the material in the end turned out to be some of the most tangible and applicable to academic material and learning in general. I will also not lie. I have flat out cried to Mr. Kinsella, maybe as many times as I have cried to Mrs. Tatter or Mrs. Settlemeyer. The calm thinking and wisdom from such a valuable asset to the Mercyhurst community is one of the most treasured connections that I will remember from my time at MPS. Once, someone at Mercyhurst asked me if I felt supported by the teachers and faculty at our school, and if I had anything to say on that topic. I said no that day, which was only a few short months ago, but I do not think I could have stated a more blatant lie. I can never speak for each and every single one of my classmates, but I can say, without a doubt, that a majority of you feel loved by at least one of your teachers. I surely do. I could spend all day rattling on about my teachers and the stories about their children or some seemingly impossible story from earlier in their lives. I could tell you about how much I enjoyed their classes and about how much I continue to love to learn because of my teachers. These teachers have made me feel like an equal and valued my opinion. And the opinions that they gave were invaluable, particularly Mr. Baca's for his blunt honesty. My teachers are the motivation behind the topic of this speech. My first and seemingly only idea for this was to let them know how much they have truly touched and affected me. On behalf of myself and of my classmates, thank you for the time during which you have dealt with our procrastination and our attitudes so that you could teach and love us. The impact from these teachers and from those we will have down the road is and will be irreplaceable. So I ask you to please continue to accept teaching of the normal sort and of the unexpected. Please learn from those around you, because just as I have learned an immense amount from my teachers, I have also learned from my peers. They have taught me what is and what isn't friendship, how to work together, and what true compassion is. I would say that I, and many of us, have changed as academics, athletes, performers, friends, and people in general as a result of the company we have had during the last handful of years. Thank you. I hope that you will look back on your time at MPS and learn something about yourself, and use that later in life. Then do that again, and often, not just at the milestones in your lives. Reflect on what you have learned from others. Please let those around you, no matter who, teach you something academic, something commonsensical, or something about yourself. Thank you.